you never doubt the heart of a champion, as the Denver Nuggets have tied the series in 2 games apiece with the Minnesota TimberWolves. The road team has won every game of the series. It's not uncommon. Excuse me, it is uncommon, but it is not a once in a lifetime feat. It has been done before. Now, I had said it for game 2 when everybody was banging on the T-Wolves to potentially eliminate the Nuggets in 4 or 5 games. I said, no, hold on. This is the Denver Nuggets. Last year was not a fluke. They pretty much dominated the regular season. They gave up the last game of the regular season to the Spurs, or they could have been the #1 seed. Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray is the best dynamic duo in the NBA. I said it took Naz Reid going off in game 1, which many people underlooked for the Minnesota Timberwolves to come away with that victory. Denver just assumed they were going to come out and stop them. Minnesota gave them a wake-up call in game 2, which might have been the worst thing that the Denver Nuggets, or excuse me, it might have been the worst thing that the Minnesota Timberwolves could have asked for. Because when you give an NBA champion who's down 0-2 the wake-up call, the Nuggets responded the way that championship teams do. And Nikola Jokic and everybody had a big game 3, and Aaron Gordon had a huge game 4. Jamal Murray had a huge game 4. And again, Nikola Jokic isn't doing his monster 30-20 games this series, and that may be because of the presence of Rudy Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns inside. But Minnesota has Jaden McDaniels. They have Mike Conley. They had to be able to stop Jamal Murray, and they really did not. And then Anthony Edwards has to do a better job guarding Aaron Gordon. And obviously, he did not in game 4. Listen, I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are great. I think Anthony Edwards is one of the next future stars in the NBA. But I think last night he sort of carried the Timberwolves. And as I'm watching it, and as he put up another, 35 to 40 point game in these playoffs, I said yes. But he's the only one scoring the ball. Nobody came with him last night. Karl-Anthony Towns had a historically bad first half. Rudy Gobert entering the fourth quarter and only taking 4 shot attempts. That's not going to cut it from your stars if you're the Minnesota Timberwolves. And while they have as sort of their veteran, they're still a very young team, and they're led by a very young man. And I had said on Thursday's show that outside of LeBron in 2007, we've never seen somebody as young as Anthony Edwards take a team to the NBA Finals, especially in this cutthroat Western Conference where the East was good back then. Obviously, you had your Wizards, you had your Pistons, you had the New Jersey Nets, who were a pretty decent team, but none at the level of this Denver Nuggets team. And I just think that Minnesota is maybe a piece or two away. I think that even though they have some good bench depth, I think Denver has some more reliable players. Christian Braun played very well in game 4. We know what KCP can do. And again, even without Reggie Jackson, Aaron Holiday has stepped up. So every time Denver has needed somebody to step up, they have. I think this is going to be Denver's toughest test to get to the finals. And I do think that they will. And I do think they probably finish them off in 7. I'll give Minnesota one more game. I would not be surprised, by the way, if that one more game is in game 5. Denver comes back, they win game 6, and then obviously the home team get their first victory of the series in game 7. I also would not be surprised if Denver ended up winning game 5, and I think if they do that, then we'll probably get a 6 game series. Denver will beat them in Minnesota, come back down 0-2. Although like LeBron's 0-7 Cavaliers did, right? They came back down 0-2, though they lost the first 2 on the road and then won 4 straight against that Piston team. You take away the Mavericks Thunder series. I said the biggest difference in this series, if Oklahoma City was going to win, was going to have to be Chet Holmgren. Which so far he has not been. It's been a lot of SGA, and again, none of the supporting cast coming with OKC outside of game 1. As even though Luka Doncic is dealing with that injury, he's still putting up monster stats. And Kyrie Irving has had, I believe, his best season since that 2016 championship season he had alongside LeBron and Kevin Love in Cleveland. And Dallas, PJ Washington came out in game 3. He shot the ball very well. Now, I am recording this today prior to game 4. I'm not going to be available Tuesday morning to record. So the Mavs, Thunder, Celtics, Cavs, I'm taking it from the standpoint of game threes and not game fours, by the way. I think Oklahoma City, by the time you are watching this, will obviously have played game four. I think they have to win tonight. If they don't, I suspect that Dallas would win in six. If they do, then obviously we got a series. But again, I feel like Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are the one and three best players in the series. As much as I like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, I never believed he was the MVP of this season. I never bought into Oklahoma City. I don't think the NBA national media ever bought into Oklahoma City, and I think it's just because they're too young. Again, they all had great seasons, but they're such a young team. And young teams in the NBA don't do well in the postseason. Historically, they either win a round or they go out in the first round. I think Luka and Kyrie are just such dynamic scorers. Oklahoma City is having a hard time matching them. And so I think the spotlight's just a little bit too bright for this Thunder team. I think we're going to get Dallas Denver, which is again my original Western Conference prediction. I had said if Kawhi Leonard wasn't healthy, which he wasn't, if Kawhi was healthy, I would have picked the Clippers in that series, which I think you saw, which even though the Clippers won both games without Kawhi, it really felt like, game four when they didn't have Kawhi and Dallas came back down 31 and almost won that game that series was over from that point because Dallas knew they could come back from anything that the Clippers handled. Out east, I was surprised at the Pacers 40-point of the Knicks on Mother's Day. I thought the Knicks games obviously are always close. I thought Indiana had a chance to win the game, but I did not think it was going to be by blowout. And when the Knicks went up 2-0, I was pretty confident that they were going to win this series in 5 or 6 games. I think game five is obviously the pivotal game in MSG. Game three was very close. The Knicks had a chance to win it. Indiana came back at the end and pretty much stole that game. Tyrese Haliburton had a very good first half. It seems that to me, Tyrese Haliburton is more of a role player where he plays well at home and not that well on the road, which worries me for Indiana because, even though Jalen Brunson and the Knicks have been banged up all series, the Knicks play better at MSG this postseason. They have on the road and they have won games on the road. So we know the Knicks are tough. Again, the question about the Knicks is always going to be, will Tom Thibodeau wear out his bench? And are these, 7, 8 man rotations, is it coming to bite him in the ass? I think Indiana has a bunch of talented players. Pascal Siakam's a very good player. Miles Turner's a very good player. Tyrese Haliburton is a very good player. They're not on the level of Jalen Brunson. When Dante DiVincenzo gets going, he's very dangerous. Josh Hart is a glue guy who does all the things well, and he can also shoot the 3-pointer. And when he's hot, you're in trouble there. But without Julius Randle and without Mitchell Robinson, it's really, Harvenstein on the glass for the Knicks. And that's where Indiana needs to take advantage and use that Siakam and Turner size to dominate the boards. And that is their one chance in this series. Regardless, I don't think either of these two teams, and again, I do have the Knicks probably winning game five in MSG, going back to Indiana and winning game six to set up what I believe will be an Eastern Conference Finals matchup with the Boston Celtics. Now, this game, again, at the time I'm recording tonight on Monday, is pivotal for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have to win this game four. If they don't, this series will be over in five. If they do, I think it'll be over in six. I think Boston could come back to Cleveland in game six after winning game five at the Garden and put away the Cavs. For the Cavaliers, again, game two, I felt like was an anomaly. I thought, obviously Darius Garland finally had a good game. Max Strus had a good game. Karis LeVert, Isaac Okoro, Evan Mobley. Everybody contributed for the Cavs, and vice versa for Boston. It just felt like they weren't hitting their shots. Game three for the Cavs, everybody outside of Donovan Mitchell could not hit the side of a barn. And again, they returned back to the mean. Karis LeVert got going late, but I felt like it was too little too late. Boston pretty much cruised in the second half. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, their two stars showed up. Even though I felt like Evan Mobley played more on the defensive end, I'd like him to be more aggressive on the offensive end, which is reportedly what Donovan Mitchell told him multiple times in the postgame. And, if this is an audition for Donovan Mitchell to sign a contract extension with the Cavs, the audition is not going well. Donovan Mitchell clearly needs more help. First of all, as I've talked about for numerous times, he needs a new coach. I would bench Darius Garland as well. Again, outside of game 2 against Boston, where he did okay. Darius Garland just seems like he's lost all his confidence. He's not aggressive, he's not attacking. He's sort of deferring to Donovan Mitchell. And what we've seen, the success of this Cavs team is Donovan Mitchell playing the point guard essentially and getting going early and getting his teammates involved. As much as I don't like Levert, I think he's inconsistent. I think you could start him. I think you could start Marcus Morris. Get a little bigger against, Boston, who's essentially starting, two guards, a forward, and then Al Horford, who is a big, but he doesn't have the quick lateral movement he once did. So even without Jared Allen, if you get another guy in there like a Marcus Morris who can rebound the ball, as opposed to an Isaac Okoro, I think that could work for this Cavs team, who again just needs another playmaker, another guy who can make a shot besides Donovan Mitchell. I think they need a guy who can sort of move without the ball, point guard, if you will. I think they need a bigger small forward where Max Strus can go off the bench. I think they need more bench production. George Niang hasn't cut it. Marcus Morris obviously won't be here next year. Don't trust Amani Bates or Craig Porter or any of those guys. So that's where I'm at. Again, I thought after a porous game 1, Jason Tatum had a good game 2. Nobody else did for the Celtics. And then game 3, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both rose to the occasion. Sometimes they made, tough shots, but Drew Holiday, I thought after Al Horford and obviously Derek White, who kind of going in the second half of game 3, and really good game 1s and not very good game 2s. They also came along, and everybody for the Celtics played well. And I think game 4, again, recording before, probably going to be close. The Cavs at home, you would think, would have the edge. It isn't a very great coaching series. Joe Mazzulla isn't a great coach either. But if the Celtics are able to win this game by any means necessary tonight, it's doom and gloom for the Cavaliers in game 5 on Wednesday. Maybe Donovan Mitchell's last in the Cleveland Cavaliers uniform.
Like that clip from the Brandsworth podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brandsworth podcast right here on YouTube.